Thank you.
Thanks, Chameli, and good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. It's a warm welcome to the session. I know talking about scaling customer success isn't easy, like typical to scaling your software systems or hardware. Scaling is always a complex topic in the software industry. So with that, I want to quickly get into the meat of the agenda so that, we kind of fit everything into 20-25 minutes and then open to questions in whatever format that the platform allows. So thank you. So I just want to quickly assume that there will be a mix of audience all the time, starting from people who are fresh or new to customer success and who are aspiring to be CSMs to the other end of the fulcrum or the spectrum where we say, people are experts and probably are pros at customer success and are already killing it, right? So I'm assuming a mix of audience, yeah. And then, so the first topic on the agenda is more oriented towards those who are actually, planning to step into customer success, learn the nitty gritty stuff about it, those kind of things. We'll also give an overview of where to find those resources, how you can ramp up, and what events or what community support that you can get. That's the first item on the agenda. Then we will get into the topic, which is scaling customer success. Like I always said, scaling customer success is always going to be complex, because like the way, similar to the way you scale any software system, right? So we are kind of trying to look at multiple strategies in which you can scale. Segmentation, I would like to call not just as a strategy, but also as a prerequisite for your scaling customer success. And then journey automation, which is like taking advantage of your CS platform or automation tool to, actually automate most of the manual tasks. And then we also introduce what we call as the CS maturity, which is vertical scaling, where Gainsight, I think 2 years ago, introduced this concept around the elements framework, where we kind of talk about 3 different levels of maturity in a CS industry as such. And then a core exercise that we have done within Gainsight with the customer success managers over a period of 30 days to see where does that CSM spend his or her time, and where do we ideally want them to spend their time, right? So that I will also take and give you a tool that we have used, so that if any of you are trying to profile where your CSM spend time, that's useful to you. And then also I would like to talk the last thing about, again, this is a different form of scaling, the way we built the India CS organization in parallel to our US organization. Again, what kind of challenges we have seen, and there I conclude the session. So without much ado, I will quickly go through the first agenda item, where we want to introduce you to what customer success is. Like on the screen, you will see that given a product, there is so much that is possible, which is the top white curve you see on the graph. But then your customers are actually leveraging much below that what is possible. And the gap that you see is what we typically refer to as consumption gap. And the CSMs day in, day out are actually in the field trying to minimize the consumption gap. This is one view. Look at it from a different view in terms of the value delivered. So the customers are actually looking at a specific desired outcome, which is the white dot on the screen, whereas the value currently being delivered by the product alone is on the left side, the white dot, and there is a gap. The CSM role can be defined as closing this kind of a product gap between what is desired versus what is possible just with the product. And how does CSMs do? CSMs either drive adoption, they act as trusted advisor, bring in best practices, or even frameworks that actually make this possible. So if you look at the way at Gainsight we have defined customer success, is we have defined customer success is a combination of the experience plus the business outcomes delivered. So in terms of the equation, we call CS equals CX plus CO. So it's not only the business outcome that is intended that's critical, but it is also the experience in actually delivering or the desired outcome is also critical. So that's where we excel. If you excel in the experience while achieving the business outcome, that's when you can say you're actually doing a great customer success. Excellent. So for those who are kind of, already into CS, you are probably aware of this blue book, the customer success, which has been here in the market for quite a while. Last 1 year, two more books from Gainsight have come in. One talking about the customer success professional handbook, which is a step-by-step, very prescriptive guide about CSM. And then the other one is about customer success economy, which talks about more like how do you set up and what are the various tenets of customer success as an economy in the current way we are looking at things. And Gainsight has numerous numerous blogs on customer success. You can actually see that on gainsight.com site. Name it, you got it. Like, for example, if you're talking about scaling, at least you will find 3 to 4 blogs that Gainsight has written on, how we scale customer success. And also not just providing literature, we also do a community. So Pulse is the name of the conference that we run annually in the Bay Area. We started this in 2013 and with a modest attendees of 300 people. And last year in person, about 5,500 people attended the conference in Bay Area. So this is more around companies that are actually into customer success, wanting to learn customer success, wanting to share best practices, get together, and then they are actually sharing those on a stage. Owing to the situation that we are all in today, so this time it has been a virtual conference and we have about 23,000 participants that actually attended this conference. So for those of you who are aspiring to be in customer success, I would say please visit the site, go through the blogs, be a part of Pulse if it is possible for you. I know this is going to be virtual, so wherever in the world, I think it's just a matter of registration. Okay. So with that said, I will quickly change gears into the meat of the topic, which is scaling customer success. So always like the best thing to start with is start with why, like Simon Sinek said. So on the slide, I kind of put together, which I will go through in a minute, is like, if any of these questions actually sound familiar to you, then you are actually in game for scaling your customer success organization. Like if your CEO or CFO or CCO comes and asks you, how do we maximize the return on the dollar spent in CS department? Then how do we increase the account ratios, as in like how much ARR is currently being managed per CSM or the number of accounts per CSM? Then you are actually hinting, he or she is hinting at scaling customer success. And then look at what parts of CSM activities can be automated. Are you looking for a CS platform? Is your current CS platform the right tool? Then you're obviously in for, so your digital led or tech touch, what we call, in terms of customer success segment. And some of your, executives might come and tell you the forecast tells me that we will add another 100 customers next year. So how do we grow the team? Do you mean to say we add more CSMs, or we make use of automation like a CS platform, or we simplify the product, or a combination of these, or all of this, the multiple possibilities. And then the industry standard around, the revenue managed per CSM is $2 million. So you might even get a question like, how can we achieve that $2 million per CSM? Or if you're already at $2 million per CSM, and if your appraisal is around, don't be surprised. You may even get a question like, how can you exceed that? So where do CSM spend their time? This is an internal exercise, like I mentioned. I will also share those details on the screen as to how to do it and how do you optimize. Where do you think is the best the CSM should spend their time? Mm-hmm. And then we also talk about customer success operations as a function within the customer success organization itself. I will also talk to it in my last agenda item as to why and when should we invest in CS operations so that we make best use of the buck. Okay, so getting into segmentation, I know a lot of people might be having these kind of questions like, how should I segment based on the customer value, like current versus future versus the customer needs? Can I deliver better customer experience across my customer base? How often should we reevaluate our segmentation model? How does my segmentation maturity compare to other organizations like mine? Can I scale faster with a different segmentation model? So these are the various set of questions that you get either when you are preparing for segmentation or you have done segmentation and you're now taking a look at the results and planning to iterate. So these are the kind of questions that lead you to segmentation. Now let's look at the data points. What is that on which we base our segmentation? What is our strategy? So if you look at it, 1/4 of the industry actually segment by contract value, that is the annual revenue. The other two close contenders are customer size, which is the number of employees in your customer base, or the growth potential or the expansion opportunity. So these are the top three reasons on which you actually base your segmentation strategy. And then if you ask me how many segments should I have, and the data clearly shows more than 50% of the people have 3 segments, and that's where you can start. Now, what does a typical classic segmentation look like? I mean, most of you are probably familiar with this: the SMB, the bottommost part of the pyramid, the mid-market, the enterprise. And then when you say SMB, it is less than 50K ARR, and mid-market is somewhere between 50K to 250K, and enterprise is greater than 250K. The reason why I say this is classic, many organizations have actually tried this and have tried to optimize. I will also talk about how Gainsight tried to better its model from this classic segmentation model. And in terms of CSM delivery, if you look at this SMB market, it's more tech touch or digital-led kind of model. And mid touch is a combination of a human, a CSM interacting versus plus some kind of automation. And then in terms of the enterprise, it's always the white glove kind of treatment, which is like most pampered segment of the industry, which is enterprise, which is the high touch model. So you have named CSMs. Typically, the ratios range from 8 to 10 accounts per CSM. Okay, so like I mentioned, segmentation is an ongoing strategy. So you would have probably started somewhere and you are now looking at what's my best next strategy to resegment or refine my segmentation. And within Gainsight, like I said, we started on a classic model, and a year ago, we started getting into a different kind of model where you see on one axis, you have the ARR, and on one axis, you have the potential for expansion. So what is our sweet spot where we really wanted to put our bets in is in the growth segment, which is the high expansion, high potential expansion quadrant, irrespective of whether it's high ARR or low ARR. And that's our sweet spot. And if you see, that's the segment 1 to go after. Segment 2 to go after, which we call as the maintain segment, where we have high current ARR and there is a possibility of expansion, but not as high potential. And the last one, which is the third one that we call about, is low potential, low ARR. That's where what we call as protect segment. Now, how does this segment play into, and what do we do in terms of each of these segments is like, you now know clearly where to focus your CSMs, and you now know where to focus CSM delivery via automation. Like, for example, in the protect segment, you would like to leverage automation as much as possible so that you're able to scale your account ratios with respect to CSM. And then in maintain segment, you're probably driving some kind of retention as well as advocacy and going after some organic expansion. Whereas on the growth segment, you're full on looking for opportunities to expansion. So this is a current segmentation model. Over time, we also did a small refinement as well, wherein within the growth segment, we actually figured out the top 2% are actually the needle movers, which are the high ARR customers. And there we would like to not only drive retention and advocacy, but also have expansion in more or like, either cross product or cross BU within the same enterprise. So this is where today we kind of based our expansion or segmentation model based on expansion. Again, grouping customers into different segments allows customer success teams to scale. This is the why behind segmentation. And you got to review the segments with the different functional teams like your marketing team, sales team, your product team. Test and validate the segmentation and evaluate the outcomes. Like you always see that this is a cycle that goes, and after every couple of years, you might want to iterate and see if there are any changes you want to see. So that's pretty much about segmentation. I move on to another strategy, which is this is more like horizontal scaling, if you will, in terms of software architecture. So how do you manage the long tail of customers? Like in the classic model, you would have seen that the pyramid base, which is your SMB segment, And that's mostly led by technology, or tech touch is what we call, or automated. So you need to identify those customers who fall into the tech touch segment, identify the life cycle movements which you wish to reach out, and those can be automated, and monitor and draw insights in terms of your health, adoption, and renewal, so that you're able to refine your automation strategy. And wherever needed, again, this is I would say this is a golden rule. Wherever there is an intervention, always possibly provide a human intervention, because no matter how much of automation you may have, a human connect can never be replaced in terms of forming, what you call relationship and deriving a strategy. Those are the two key things where, in spite of having a tech touch, the recommendation is to have somebody actually reach out, so that you're able to provide more human kind of a face to your CSM approach. And the full-blown, I know this is a busy slide. For now, just focus on two things: above the line, below the line. The below the line are all those touch points that are in green color that can be automated. Those that are above the line, the dark blue color ones, are the ones that possibly done via a CSM or via the human touch. So typically, welcome email, onboarding materials, sending them blog links, product releases, usage reports, surveys, renewal reminders, all this can be automated if you have a good CSM tool. On the other hand, you should probably have a good CSM reaching out to understand success plan creation. Like, for those of you who do not know what success plan is like a customer buys the platform with some objective, and for achieving that objective, you actually create a project plan or a plan to achieve that objective, and that's what we call as success plan. And so these kind of things are more or less planned by the CSM and better presented in terms of human touch rather than the tech touch. So here takeaway: a lot of the things below the line you can automate. Please automate. Even if it is your enterprise, please try and automate, because these are things that are well done on an automation front. And above the line, you see those are the ones where the real value add from the CSM comes in. So this is about journey automation. The core concept around this is, you might think this as a vertical scaling, or vertically scaling your CS organization. So the way we look at the CSM industry is like, a person or an organization can be viewed at 3 different levels. The level 1 is insights, the level 2 is outcomes, the level 3 is transformation. The reactive mode is the absence of CS itself. Okay, so the first thing that, again, like I said, start with why. If you look at the way your retention changes from a reactive mode to your transformation mode, it increases by 13 percentage points. That is the GRR. Whereas if you look at NRR, you will actually get a 33 percentage points increment in your net retention if you're actually at level 3 versus being reactive. So this is what we have seen in our survey in 2018. And that gives us a strong, compelling reason as to why you should scale your CSM organization vertically. And then when you say, what do you mean by scaling the organization across the different maturity levels? So you can see that level 1 is actually, you have this analytics data, user data, survey data, or your ticket information, and see how your data can be turned into meaningful actions. And then you actually are at the first or foundation level, which we call as insights and actions. And then how you can proactively deliver the customer outcomes at scale, then you are at level 2. And if you're able to rally all of your company around the mission of customer success, then you are at level 3, which is called as the transformation level. And for those of you who want to be more detail oriented, please do not hate me for this. And if this reminds you of periodic table in your school days, I am not a chemistry guy at all, nor am I talking about any chemistry here. So this is our periodic table for customer success. So if you are asking about how do I know that I'm at level 1, level 2, level 3, so we have tried to group what we call as elements So each of the block that you see on the screen is an element. Like for example, the life cycle management is an element where I really spoke about the end-to-end life cycle and how do you actually manage that life cycle, right? So each of these elements is a business case that can be expanded in terms of the flows and prerequisites and post. So if you look at your organization and you're doing the first four things, which is 360-degree customer view, lifecycle management, customer health, and experience management, you're at level 1. If you're doing this 4, plus the outcomes, the green ones, the 8, which is like 8 plus 4, the 12, then you're at level 2. If you're doing this 12 plus the 4 in the transformation, then you are at level 3. So this is how we kind of define. I know it's too much right now to introduce elements, which is a core concept in terms of, few minutes. You can always go to our site, gainsight.com/elements, and even ask for a demo, even ask for literature around this. And there are multiple blogs that actually talk about as to how we came up with this approach and then why we know that it works.
Got it. Sridhar, I'm afraid we're going to have to put a hard stop over there.
Sure.
Because we have moved towards the end of the session.
Sure.
And we also have a couple of questions from the audience.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So the first question is about customer success teams. So there are a lot of companies coming up. They are expanding rapidly, and a typical tactic that people use is to split responsibilities between different teams. Say customer success is being done by a separate team, whereas onboarding will be done by a separate team, and farming will be taken care of by a different team.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? Do we need that, or how do we take this?
Sure. So actually, the handoffs are the more critical part of customer success journey. Like for example, when the contract signed, the pre-sales team or the sales team handing off the requirements to the post-sales department or the onboarding department, which does the onboarding from the sign of contract to go live. And then the go live onwards, the CSMs actually take over. So nailing of these handoffs is very, very critical. So we have prescriptive process around what should happen at the time of sales handoff to onboarding handoff to CSM. So we have developed checklists, and we have also developed elements around it. So definitely I'm happy to provide more literature on that. But then creating a checklist and actually following it up with a meeting where both parties are involved is the right approach.
Got it. Thank you. And the next question is from Shivam Kapoor. So his question is, what would be the best advice you would give to a company working with monthly renewals?
So monthly renewals is very common, Shivam, in most of the companies that I see across. I have seen at least, I'm an advisor on a couple of companies where they're mostly on monthly renewals. So I think the core thing you have to keep in mind is time to value. When you have an annual revenue, you have like 3 to 4 months to get into and prove the value to them. But when somebody is on a monthly renewals, I don't think you have even a couple of weeks to actually start displaying the value. So understand your value proposition and start scaling step by step. Show them the value first, and then incrementally start increasing your expansion so that, month on month, they're able to see value out of it. But the first month itself, they're able to see the value that they're actually promoted or eager to renew.
Got it. Got it. Thank you, Sridhar. I think we have arrived at the end of the session. Sridhar, thanks.